Hello friends, Leivana here. Okay, so today we are going to go through all of the mobility basics. So I'm going to walk you through all of the best exercises that you can do to ensure that you are not injuring yourself and you are preparing yourself for doing heavier lifting in the gym with the weights. You want to definitely work on mobility. It's super important. So today what we're going to be doing is going to involve needing these items, which you can do all the exercises without. However, it is highly recommended to get a light pair of weights. I would actually recommend 2 to 3 pounds. These are 5 pounds, but this is all I have right now. But we want to do like 2 to 3 pounds on those. A kettlebell, if you have one. If you don't, we can use any object that's going to give you a little bit of height to get your foot over. So we don't necessarily need a kettlebell, but if you have one, that's great. And then a mat and a foam roller. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the squat. So if you are planning on wanting to work your way up to doing heavy compound lifts like the barbell squat, you're going to definitely want to work on your overall squat performance and loosening up the calf muscles so that you can get a deeper, better squat. So ultimately, the goal, of course, is going to be able to get down like this, really deep, with your feet completely flat on the ground. So if you cannot sit like this and hold this position for a decent amount of time without any pain, we definitely need to work on mobility. So you should be doing these exercises on a daily basis if you can, or as many times a week as you can. And so we'll just start this routine with doing 10 nice squats up and down. And I actually like to also, after doing a few of these, include a little stretch for the hamstring. So we'll do a few of these and then go into more hamstring stuff. Now, as we come down, I want you to grab your toes and hold your toes as you come up, and that's going to stretch the back of the legs. And we want to do that about 10 times. So if you're having a hard time getting all the way into a deep squat, one thing that you can do is, if you're in the gym, you can use a plate like this, and you can put your heels on the back of the plate as you do your squat like this, and that's going to really help you to get deeper without putting so much strain on the calves and allowing for those quads to not be so fully extended. And this is a good way to start if you're having trouble getting into a deep squat. So you might try that. If you're doing it at home, you can just use a couple of books or anything that's going to provide a little bit of elevation for your heels. They also do make some shoes, actually, that are designed to help you get that little lift in your heel if you want to invest in something like that. Okay. All right. So now that we've warmed up our legs a little bit, the next one that we are going to do is what we call a cross sack. And for this one, I will use a kettlebell, but if you're just getting started with this one, it might be a little bit difficult to jump right into doing it with weight. Eventually, you want to work your way up to where you're able to move through the full range of motion on these exercises while putting resistance on your muscles and your tendons and joints and everything. So, but the exercise itself is going to look like this. You want to try to get as deep as you can into sort of a one-legged squat. So I like to put my leg out to start and then bring it down. Some people might only be able to go to here, but the ultimate goal eventually is to be able to drop your butt all the way down to the ground while also trying to keep your heel on the floor as much as possible. And then you're just going to kind of go back and forth between each side and get as deep as you can. A nice little stretch through there. And so for some of you, it might look more like this because you're not able to get quite that deep. And that's okay. That's going to help build that glute medius and strengthen all of those muscles in that area that are going to help you to get a little bit deeper. So I want you guys to do at least 10 alternating on each side for a total of 20. And then eventually you'll work your way up to adding weight. And that's going to look like this with a kettlebell. You're going to bring it down, holding it right in front of you, and then switching sides. But if you're just getting started, again, you're just going to do body weight. And you're just going to get as deep as you can. There we go. Okay. That's definitely a super important one that you want to add to your routine. Now, with our kettlebell, we can also use this as a guide for a couple of exercises that we're going to do next. First, we'll start with doing a little straddle here and bringing your arms forward and reaching for that kettlebell, using it as a guide, something to reach for, so that you can get as deep as possible. And I like to just do at least 20 or so little pulses here. Kind of a dynamic stretch, actually. Yeah. And this one I definitely need to work on. The ultimate goal, of course, in the future for me is to be able to touch my head to the ground. Usually I can get my elbows on the floor pretty well, but I am definitely tight this morning. But yeah, just kind of lean into it for about a count of 20. And then we'll go into the next exercise. Oh, yeah, that's a good stretch right through your adductors, and you'll feel it in the hamstrings too. So the next exercise that we want to do is going to be an internal hip rotation exercise. Going to open up the hips. So again, if you don't have a kettlebell, it's totally fine. You can use like a water bottle or something that's going to give you a little bit of height so that you can use it to get your leg up and over. We want this movement to be up and over. So you're going to bring it down towards where your feet are at, and then we're going to go like this and bring our foot back behind us. We're going to do 10 on each side. Just lifting your leg up and over and back. And it's important to keep your body straight right here. Like, try to keep yourself upright as much as possible and really finish that movement at the back so that your leg is touching the ground behind you. And this one is, again, definitely really good for just opening up the hips and increasing that overall hip mobility. So after you've done 10 on that side, we're going to move the kettlebell over a little bit, reposition so we can do the other side for 10. And again, I like to put my hands out in front of me to help maintain that stability. This is also going to build good core strength. This is definitely one of my favorites that I do not want you to skip. It's a good one. Try to go through that full range of motion and get your foot completely behind and keep your body as straight as possible throughout and really finish that movement before you go back. All right. So those are some of the best ones for mobility in the legs, although we did skip one actually that I would normally do a little bit more towards the beginning of my routine, but we can do it at any time, and that is a downward dog movement. So this one is going to be very important for also getting your squat just right, because it helps to really stretch the back of your calf muscle here, your ankle area, to kind of increase mobility there. So I definitely would recommend doing the downward dog stretch on a regular basis. And so you just want to put your, let's see, let me do a side view here. You want to put your hands on the floor and try to create a V shape by pushing your legs back. And the goal, of course, is to get your feet completely flat on the ground. You want your heels touching the ground. And of course, you know, in the beginning, it's not going to look like that for you until you increase your mobility there and get that strength and flexibility in your calves that you need. But this is an excellent exercise to get you there. So just hold that for a minute. I like to add a little hip opening like this, bringing your leg over, letting it fall behind you a little bit. That's another great way to open up the hips. And then back into a downward dog. All right. Okay, so that is some of the basics. Of course, there's many other exercises that you can do that are going to really help increase your mobility in your hips and legs, but that's a very good start, some of the basics. And yeah, so now I want to move on to doing some upper body mobility work. Super important, especially if you are starting to notice that you might be having pain in your bicep. A lot of times that is the result of having weak rotator cuff muscles, which are all those little assisting muscles in the upper back and shoulder area, the rear deltoid, that are weak and need to be strengthened. They're causing there to be strain on the other muscles. So let's start with some of these. So if you do not have any weights and you're doing this at home, it can be done completely, without any weight at all. But eventually, I would recommend getting at least 2-pound weights. You want to bring it like this and keep your feet about shoulder width apart and turn your hands inward so that your pinkies are pointing up towards the ceiling as you go and creating a Y shape like this. And I want you to do at least 10 to 20 of these. So like 2 sets of 10 is a good idea, at least. If you have time to do more of these exercises, definitely keep going. But I wanted to try to make this video fairly short, so just taking you through the basics. And then you can modify as needed for yourself. So you want to create this Y shape, bringing those pinkies up to the ceiling. And you're going to notice that this is definitely a difficult exercise. It's really hard for me to do this even with 5 pounds. I would definitely recommend probably 2, max 3, to be honest with you. You really don't need a lot of weight. You just want to put a little bit of resistance on those muscles. All right, so that's that one. And then we will move on to the next one. And so for this particular exercise, there's 2 different exercises. They're both similar, but both can be done if you have the foam roller. I suggest doing both. If you do not have a foam roller, then you can do just this one. And all you really need is a mat, if you need that at all. And you're going to just lay on the ground like this. And let me make sure you can see what's happening here. Bring this back just a touch. And we will, there we go, bring that down. Okay, so we're going to lay on our stomach. And it's going to be kind of a Superman thing where you bring in your hands out like this. And then you want to raise your hands off of the ground, turn your thumbs up like this, and then bring your arms back as far as you can. Do a little rotation like this, back and forth. Bringing your palms up and then down, twisting in and out. And then from there, with your palms facing upwards, bring your hands together to the small of your back, and then back out. Turn your thumbs up again and forward, and then rest. And then we're going to do that again. Thumbs up, out this way, rotate a few times, and then palms up. Bring your hands behind your back, back out, rotate a couple times, and then forward. And we're going to do that for about 10 rounds. Not easy for sure. This is definitely going to fire up those erector muscles in the lower back as well. And yeah. Okay. And last one. Last one. There we go. Okay, so that's one option if you don't have the foam roller. But if you do, again, if you do have a foam roller, I want you to try to do both of these exercises because they are similar but slightly different. And both feel really, really good on your shoulders and your back, your upper back. So for this one, we're going to take the foam roller and we're going to lay on it lengthwise. I'm trying to think of the best angle here. I think this is going to give you the best view of what I'm doing here, maybe a little bit sideways. Okay. Let's see. So we're going to lay on the foam roller, putting it right up against the spine like this, and feet flat on the ground. You want to tuck. This is really important, guys. Throughout this movement, I want you to pull your belly button down towards the small of your back and make it nice and tight. And then bring your hands out to the side like this. And then you're going to trace on the floor with your fingers. It's kind of like making snow angels. Bring it up with your palms downward like this, all the way up as far as you can. Let me get this camera just right. This is a little off. We want to be a little further down. That might be better. Okay, here we go. And then when you get up here and you can't bring your arms up any further, then that's when we want to turn our hands out like this. And once your hands are out, then you'll be able to go up all the way. Make sure that your belly button is tucked down and you're touching your spine completely on the foam roller. Bring it up, twist, and then up all the way. And do that a few times. You're going to be turning, again, you're turning your arms right about here, wherever you, when you get to that point where you can't go up anymore without turning your hands. So right about here is where it starts to get tight for me, and then I have to turn my hands to go all the way up. Okay, and then you also want to bend your elbows like this and try to touch your fingers to the ground like this, and then rotating and touching the ground with your palms on the way down. And you're going to do that. Remember to keep your back touching the foam roller at all times. The small of your back needs to be pushed down onto the foam roller. We'll do that for a few, and then we'll go back to the snow angels. And at the top, really try to touch the floor as much as possible. Try to track your fingers along the floor the whole time. And that's going to feel so good on your upper back. All right. And I think that is about it, guys. That is all the basics for my mobility warm-up routine. If you include all of those exercises into your regular routine, I guarantee you're going to feel better, and you're going to definitely prevent some injury, and you're going to perform better with your lifts, especially if you're trying to do barbell squats, even just dumbbell squats, like the goblet squat. But basically, you want to be able to get into that full range of motion with added tension, and that is going to help strengthen your joints and all of the little assisting muscles that help you get through those movements. It's super important. So yeah, if you have any questions, make sure you reach out to me. You can send me an email at info@liftwithlevana.com. If you want to work with me one-on-one, you can apply to work with me for more intimate one-on-one coaching, virtual coaching program. And I also have, simple programs that people can do. They are personalized just for you, and that is $29 a month right now for a limited time. You can sign up right on my website, liftwithlevana.com. Thanks for watching.